Welcome back to Citizen Nerd. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to give you what one of you had asked for, is the comparison between the R-11 and the R-13. Both are Acer Chromebooks. Both give you the basic functionality. I'm not going to go specifically into the operating system. It's the same operating system, so we'll look at the actual functionality and the speed differences, and we'll look at kind of what they're actually able to do and what they're not able to do, and then we'll compare the specs a little bit, and then going over the R-11, which my company has actually purchased about 2,500 of, the company I work for, which is a school, for our one-to-one project, and we'll go over the rundown of statistically what we've seen wrong with these thus far, breakage and such like that, and we'll go over to a couple points that we've been able to figure out actually better uses and stuff like that. So anyway, let's get right to this. This is the R-11, and we're going to look at a few issues we've actually had with the R-11. A couple of the nice things that we're actually finding with this is they're actually relatively durable. However, there's a few things. The bezel around the edge here can come apart if you are hitting it or really torquing on it hard. This is actually metal. This is also plastic here, so that's plastic. Now the outer side of this, the back of this, that's actually metal, surrounded by plastic. A few things that, much like the other one, are a little bit confusing to some people is that there's no caps lock, and that really does seem to mess with people. We've had several Wi-Fi issues where the Wi-Fi stops talking. We have actually found that, at least on one of them, that disconnecting the Wi-Fi card and reconnecting it did fix the issue. We've had several touchpad issues that we've had to send in for replacement. Screen cracks, some screens are going dark occasionally. We've been able to work through some of those with just going in and power washing it. And there's been some other tricks we've done too. Okay, the specs on this particular unit is, of course, it's 11-inch screen or 11.6-inch screen. It is only running a 1366 by 768 resolution, so it's a little better than 720, not a huge amount. It's a 1.6 gigahertz Intel Celeron with 4 gig of RAM, and I highly recommend that when you buy one of these, you at least get 4 gig of RAM in the thing. It makes them work a lot quicker. And a lot more stable. This one has 16 gig of flash memory, and it does actually work on the newest AC wireless. It weighs about 3.5 pounds. It is about 0.8 inches thick, so it's not too bad. It actually is pretty decent. Power port, you got an HDMI port, a USB 3, and this is for an SD card reader. Speaker, you can see it there, speaker hole, and you can see in the bottom too, speaker hole, just to where it reflects a little bit. Power button, audio out for headphones, another USB 2 port, not 3, and your Kensington lock. I don't know if you can see it, but there's where your model number and information are. Now, these are actually holding up relatively well. We bought cases for these that are adequate for the Chromebook itself. However, you can't flip it around like you normally can. For example, these do flip all the way around into a tablet. And then, much like the other one, so keys on the bottom do nothing. Clicks do nothing, so if you're hitting these, it has no effect here, and it does actually understand rotation pretty well. That's kind of nice. So, when you flip it back around, it that becomes active on the front surface again. So if I go down here now, the mouse will work and I can click and bring up Google. So one other issue we've had, and I'm using a white cord for this, mainly for for easy viewing. But this tiny connector, let's see if I can get it to focus on this little thing. That little guy, let's see if it'll focus. Yeah, that's the guy right there. We have seen a few of those break off now. And what's happening is that inside this thing that plugs in there, there's a little bit of a, like a, let's see if I can get it just the right light to see it here. There's a little bit of a ring in this thing that contacts the outer edge of this. When it goes in there, if it spins a lot, we've seen it actually break that connector right off. And then you're left with just the center pin, and of course there's then no charging. We've just seen that a few times now. But that's probably why on the next unit, which I did a minor review on, they went from this connector to USB-C, which of course plugs in here. And this port, because it is a USB port, can actually go both ways. It can do charging, but it can also power out things. And of course, comparison of the two. So it really actually didn't make too much of a change. Okay, so old power port, new power port, both have HDMI, USB 3, full-size SD card, micro SD card. Now, speakers are in the same place, so they actually are they're relatively similar. Small hinge, full-length hinge. Okay, look at this side. See, we actually, if you look at this, have a couple things here. This is actually your volume control. So you push here to go up, push here to go down, and it's like one bar, but it works okay. So you have a same size or similar size power connection. Headphone jack. Your standby on and charge light, which on the front, or on this one, on the front rather, and then on the side on that one. And then you'll have, of course, Kensington lock on both. But you have a USB port on this side, whereas there's not one on this side. That is kind of debatable whether you want that there or not. But considering this unit actually has effectively two on the other side, one is obviously shared with a charging port as USB-C, but and a USB 3. But this one actually has a USB 2 and a USB 3 and a separate charging port. So, something to keep in mind. I've got them both set up here side by side, and you can see now that they're both on the same screen, of course, both on speedtest.net. And you'll notice really quickly that this one's actually brighter. Not by a lot, but it's definitely brighter. So now we'll do a speed test here at the same time. I want to go to Mooresville. I've noticed at least here in Indiana, Mooresville gives me a better reading. So keep in mind they're both going through the same access point. So we might get a little speed difference. And I'm just running this once. I will run this several times and give you an average between them. This is just giving you an idea. Keep in mind, at the same time, pulling from my home access point is not going to be stunningly fast. Now keep in mind, running the test at least 10 or 12 times, and even suggested by these people running it several times, works much better. So we'll move to an audio test now. Okay, we've opened up Button Base here just to have something for an audio source. And I've got them both running on the exact same setting and both muted, but when I unmute they both become full volume, so I'll unmute one at a time here. Here it is. Okay, and here's there's the other one. Okay, so I don't know if you can actually tell it or not, but it does actually appear that the R-11 is slightly louder, which may be a good or bad thing, but not by a lot, but just fractionally louder. They actually sound quality-wise about identical though, so. Okay, and I brought up one of my videos to show that the YouTube streaming speed, so this is just streaming my actual intro video for my channel, and the R-11 actually streams it pretty well. I've not seen any glitches from the stream at all. Okay, and then the R-13 actually streaming the same video. Of course, this is 720p coming down from YouTube. It also has very little, if any, kind of problems playing YouTube videos. I've used it watching 1080p. I have actually watched a 4K stream with it, and it looked actually quite good. And you can see the R-13 is a little bit higher than the R-11. There you have it. There's your comparison between the R-11 and the R-13 Chromebook. I hope this has been helpful. And as always, if you have any suggestions, please leave it to me in the comment section below. And I hope to be able to bring you more usable information like this and useful information, as well as some fun things. For Citizen Nerd, this has been Nathan, and Merry Christmas.